In this video we will compare the Zhiyun Smooth Q4 versus the DJI OM5 and we will discuss the question which one you should get. Hey, what's up guys, Julian from smartphonefilmmakingpro.com here, the ultimate online course about smartphone filmmaking. And today we have a very exciting video for you guys. Today we will compare two of the most popular smartphone gimbal options that you can buy at the moment. On one hand, we do have the trusty old DJI OM5. This one was released around about 8-9 months ago. And yeah, ever since then it has been very popular. A lot of people have gotten it, and yeah, I have also used it quite a bit in the last year or so. And on the other hand, we do have the all-new Zhiyun Smooth Q4. About a year ago, Zhiyun released the Smooth Q3, which was its predecessor, and I also made a bunch of videos about that gimbal, and I really enjoyed using that. And yeah, today we will take a closer look at the newer one, and like I said, we will compare it to the trusty old DJI OM5. I have divided this comparison into 7 different categories, and the winner of each category will get a point, and then in the end you can decide for yourself which of these two gimbals is the better fit for you. But without any further ado, let's start with the first category. And the first category, as always, is the price and the packaging content. The DJI OM5 at the time of this recording costs around about $150, and it's on the pricier side when it comes to smartphone gimbals. Of course, there are some gimbals that are even more expensive than that, but most gimbals are just a little cheaper. Inside of the box, you get, of course, the gimbal itself. You get a little table tripod that you can also use to fold down so that you can hold it nicer whenever you're shooting. You also get a little carrying pouch, and you get a USB to USB Type-C cable, and that is basically it. On the other hand, we do have the Zhiyun Smooth Q4. This one is a little cheaper, and inside of the box you also get, of course, the gimbal itself, also pretty much the same table tripod. You get a USB to USB Type-C cable, and with all Zhiyun gimbals you always get a very nice carrying case, and yeah, you only get this with this gimbal, not with the OM5. Generally speaking, for me personally, I way prefer the carrying cases that you get with the Zhiyun gimbals compared to the ones that you get with the DJI gimbals, but that's just a personal preference. Some of you might like the pouch better because it's just smaller, but like I said, that's just a personal preference. So generally speaking, the Smooth Q4 is a little cheaper, and I also prefer the carrying case over the pouch. So for me, the first point goes to the Smooth Q4. Second category is the smoothness that you can get with these two gimbals. And basically this is probably the most important category of them all, because in the end, the thing that is most important to us is that we have some very nice and smooth looking footage, and now we have to compare these two, which one creates smoother images. So generally speaking, I think these days in 2022, you can't go really wrong with any gimbal that you can buy. All of them have 3 axes and all of them work very, very nice. If you have been following me along for a little longer, you know that I personally am not the biggest fan of the DJI OM5 because it just feels not as sturdy, and overall I always have the feeling like the motors are struggling a little bit. I'm not quite sure if that's just my unit, but generally speaking, I'm just not feeling, I do not feel like this is super solid, to be honest. And when it comes to the shots that you can get with the DJI OM5, for most parts, they are looking very smooth, and for most parts, I do not have any problems at all. But on the other hand, by the time I started using the Smooth Q4, this on the one hand feels way better just whenever you're holding it. And generally speaking, when it comes to the smoothness of the shots of the Smooth Q4, they are just absolutely perfect. And to be honest, I'm saying this right now, this is the smoothest gimbal that I have ever used before. In case you have not seen it yet, I did make a launch video for the Smooth Q4 for Zhiyun, and I was shooting a parkour runner or a parkour running girl, and we were running through the streets of Vienna, and I was running full pace, absolutely everything that I could, and I was using it like this. I was also using the extension pole, and I was using it in low mode, and I was really putting it through its paces. And the shots that I was getting with this setup, I was using my iPhone 13 Pro, the shots that I got with this, they were just absolutely amazing and they blew me away. So this point goes to the Smooth Q4. Third category is the balancing and the overall setup time. One of the biggest advantages of the DJI OM5 is that you can balance it very, very quickly, or rather, basically you do not have to balance it. Whenever you want to use your OM5, just make sure that you mount the clamp on the back of your smartphone, make sure that you align the dots, then just turn it on. And that's basically it, you are good to go. On one hand, that is very handy, it works super quick, and for most part, this is just a very, very nice workflow. In case you're using a heavier phone like the iPhone 13 Pro Max or the S22 Ultra or something like this, or in case you want to use add-on lenses, this system of balancing or of not balancing comes to its limits very, very quickly. So if you're using your phone naked, just like this, without any add-ons, then this is brilliant. But whenever you have to balance it to make it work, then you're having some troubles. On the other hand, the Smooth Q4 is using a little bit of a more traditional way of setting it up. It has a clamp basically where you can put in your phone, you just spread this, and generally speaking, it just offers a little more flexibility and you can tweak it a little more when you want to get a perfect balance. So I think it just depends on what you prefer. If you just want to use it just as it is with the clamp and with the magnetic clamp and just turn it on, then I think this one is a little easier. But whenever you want to tweak it a little more and whenever you truly want to balance it, then I think the Smooth Q4 is a little better. So I will call this category a draw, but you just have to decide for yourself what is more important to you personally. Next category is the extension pole and low mode. So both of these gimbals have an extension pole built in, and both of them look very similar. They also, I think they have the same length. Yeah, I think they have pretty much the same length. And yeah, you can use both of them. Like I've said before, I just feel like with the Smooth 5, this is just not feeling too solid. I just do not feel very secure using it like this. And when it comes to the low modes that we're also talking about right now, then you just have to turn your phone upside down or the entire gimbal and you can start using it. It works just fine with the OM5, but as you can see now, this is not as it should be, so it's having some troubles here. Sometimes I'm having some issues with the OM5, so yeah, it's just struggling a little bit. Just turning it off, turn it on again. So generally speaking, normally this is working just fine. With the Smooth Q4, basically it works just the same. Also, you just extend the pole to whatever length you want. Then you can also pan this to whatever direction or angle that you want. You can also use that on the OM5. And yeah, low mode also works just like this. And yeah, like I said, it just feels more solid. I personally prefer this one. I will also give this category to the Smooth Q4 because I just think it feels more solid. The results that I'm getting in low mode are just way better with the Smooth Q4 compared to the OM5. And yeah, so I'll give this point to the Smooth Q4. Next category is all about the different modes. And something that I do not really like about the OM5 is that you cannot change between the different modes in case you're not using the DJI Mimo app. In case you want to enable, I don't know, the spin mode or something like this, you always have to use the DJI Mimo app. There is no way around that. It does have a mode button on the gimbal, but it does not do anything in case you're not using the app. So by default, this is set to the follow mode, and yeah, that's also working just fine. And you can also enable the locked mode by pressing this button at the back, and then it stays in its position without doing anything. That works just fine. But that's basically it. That's all you can use without using their app. And I do not like their app, but more about that later. And then on the other hand, with the Smooth Q4 at the back here, you have 4 different modes that you can access right directly on the gimbal without having to use any app. You do have the pan and follow mode, you do have the locked mode, the follow mode, and also the POV mode. And just by pressing the mode button, you can switch between them. So in my opinion, Zhiyun handles the mode switching way better than all the other gimbal manufacturers, because I just don't like the gimbal apps. No matter what gimbal apps, I just prefer using Filmic Pro, for example, or the stock camera app. I just feel way more confident in the results that I'm getting. They just look way better. and on Zhiyun gimbals I can still switch between the different modes, and I just way prefer this. So this point also clearly goes to the Smooth Q4. Next up, let's talk a little bit about all the buttons that you have on the gimbals. Let's start with the Smooth Q4. You have this little joystick. Next to that is a start stop button. Above that is the mode switching button that we have just talked about. Then on the left, you do have a little zoom wheel, so you can zoom in or zoom out in case you're using the ZY Cami app that I personally never do. And then on the right hand, you do have a on and off switch. And then at the back, you have a button. And if you press this 3 times, you can switch from landscape to vertical mode and so on. So these are basically the buttons on the Smooth Q4. And on the Smooth 5 on the left side, you also have an on off switch. Below that is also a zoom rocker so that you can pull up and pull down. At the back, you have a little wheel that you can use to pan and tilt the gimbal. Above that is a start stop button, and below that is a button that you can press to change the orientation of your gimbal. And on the right is a plug for your USB Type-C cable, and at the back is also a button, like I said, that you can just press to enable the locked mode. And that's basically it. So generally speaking, when it comes to the buttons, both of them are pretty much identical. So I will also call this category a draw. And before we will come to the last category, which will be my personal recommendations and also the overall usability, I would like to very briefly talk about Smartphone Filmmaking Pro. Besides this YouTube channel, we do also have an online course where we teach you step by step how you can make cinematic looking videos with your smartphone. We teach you everything that you need to know when it comes to the filming process, technical aspects, creative aspects, the editing, and also the distribution. So basically we cover absolutely everything. And in case you would like to get a free taste, just click the first link below that like button, and that will bring you to our totally free webinar where I share the top 5 secrets that you need to know to create some awesome looking videos with your smartphone. So check it out. And now we will come to the last category. All right, so let's come to the end of this video and let's come to my recommendations and also to my workflow and, you know, just how it is using both of these gimbals. Like I said before, I have used both of them very extensively in the last couple of months and this one even in the last year. And as you probably have already noticed, personally, I just way prefer the Smooth Q4 over the OM5. For me personally, one big aspect is overall how it feels. I just feel like this feels way more solid in my hand, and also the results that I'm getting with this gimbal specifically, they are just absolutely amazing. And the way I'm getting these results is just super easy. There is no like, you know, nothing that I need to think about. I can just use it right away and the results are amazing. And another thing that is very important and very huge for me is the mode switching button. Just by pressing one little button, I can switch, for example, to the POV mode. And you know, now it's doing POV style shots. And don't get me wrong, you can also do that with the OM5. It's just, it requires a lot more work from you. You have to go into the DJI Mimo app, and then you have to search this mode, and then you have to use this app. And you know, personally, I just way prefer the Smooth Q4. So which one should you get? When you're asking me personally, I would recommend that you should get the Smooth Q4. Like I said, I just feel way more confident using this one over this, and also recommending this one just feels better to me because, like I said, I'm often having some troubles with my OM5 and it just does not feel as solid. So yeah, I would recommend getting the Smooth Q4, but you can also create amazing shots with the OM5. So generally speaking, you have to decide for yourself. And one thing that is even more important than having this gimbal or that gimbal is that you learn how you can create amazing looking videos with your smartphone. That's exactly what we teach inside of our webinar. In case you're interested, make sure to check it out. And if you guys have any further questions, make sure to let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.